Hey there, deep divers. Today we're diving into, well, the wild world of Palantir.
Oh, yeah,
The data analytics company that's been making waves, and some investors pretty nervous with its volatile stock.
for sure.
We're going to figure out if those big swings, like that nail-biting 21% drop in a single day,
Oh, yeah.
are actually a sign of hidden opportunity for, those who are in it for the long haul.
Right. Well, you've probably seen those headlines and wondered, should I be worried?
Oh, for sure.
The market does tend to kind of freak out over short-term news. In Palantir's case, the recent plunge was triggered by two things: whispers of an 8% cut to the U.S. defense budget
Right?
and CEO Alex Karp selling some of his shares.
Yeah, that defense budget news definitely caught my eye. Makes you wonder how reliant Palantir is on, those government contracts.
Right, but here's the thing. That 8% cut is just a proposal, not set in stone. And even if it happens, it's unlikely to target Palantir's specialty, AI and cutting-edge defense tech. Think about it, they're the ones helping the military analyze complex data to predict threats. That's not something you can easily cut back on.
So even if some defense spending shrinks Palantir's in a niche, that's pretty hard to replace.
Exactly. And there's another factor that often gets overlooked. Palantir gets a full 50% of its revenue from the private sector.
Hmm.
We're talking big names like Airbus and BP using their platforms for everything from optimizing supply chains to predicting equipment failures, so they're not solely dependent on Uncle Sam's checkbook.
That's a really good point. It's easy to forget they're not just a government contractor, but let's be real, that stock drop was dramatic. Did anyone actually benefit from it?
Oh, absolutely. Savvy investors saw this as a classic buy the dip scenario. The stock went from $122 down to $96 in a single day, then bounced right back up to $106 that same day. Anyone who bought at the low point snagged a quick 10% gain.
See, this is what fascinates me about Palantir. It's volatile, sure,
Yeah,
but there's a potential for some serious upside if you know what you're doing.
volatility can be a double-edged sword, that's for sure. But let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Even with this recent dip, Palantir stock is up 45% in just 1 month. In the past 6 months, it's up 226%. And since its IPO in 2020, it's gained a staggering 1,154%.
Those are some eye-popping numbers. But I have to ask, how does a company justify such a high valuation? There's got to be more to it than just those growth figures.
Well, their secret sauce is that they're not just analyzing data, they're building platforms that can be used across industries. Think of it like a Swiss Army knife for Data One tool that can be adapted for countless applications. So once they create a solution, it can be deployed across different sectors with minimal additional cost. That makes their business model incredibly scalable.
So it's not just the tick itself, but how they can apply it broadly that gives them an edge.
Exactly. And let's not forget their near monopoly position. They've outmaneuvered competitors by focusing on complex, high-stakes problems that others haven't been able to crack. Take their work with BP, for example. Palantir helped them integrate data from hundreds of oil wells, allowing them to predict equipment failures before they happen. This saved BP millions in downtime and repair costs, and it's the kind of high-impact solution that solidified Palantir's position as a leader in the field.
So we're talking cutting-edge technology, a unique business model, and a dominant market position. Sounds pretty compelling so far, but where does this leave someone like me who's just starting to explore Palantir as a potential investment?
That's a great question, and it's important to remember that investing in any company comes with risks. But if you're looking for a company with the potential to truly disrupt industries and shape the future, Palantir is definitely worth considering.
Okay, so maybe Palantir's volatility isn't something to be afraid of. It's more like a roller coaster that's headed steadily upward, even with the occasional loop-the-loop.
That's a great analogy. But before you hop on this particular ride, there are a few things you should know.
All right, so we've seen the potential upside of Palantir's roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But what about the downside? What are some of the risks that investors need to consider before jumping on board?
Well, one thing to consider is the competitive landscape. While Palantir has a strong position, now the world of AI is constantly evolving. New players could emerge with disruptive technologies, challenging Palantir's dominance.
So even with their head start, they can't just rest on their laurels.
Right.
They need to keep innovating to stay ahead of the game.
Exactly. And then there's the regulatory environment. Governments around the world are grappling with the implications of AI and data privacy, and it's possible that new regulations could emerge that, limit Palantir's ability to operate as freely as they do now.
That's a really good point. Their business model relies heavily on accessing and analyzing vast amounts of data.
Right.
If governments start cracking down on data collection, that could definitely impact their growth.
It's something to watch closely. Now let's shift gears and talk about Palantir's financials. They have a rock-solid balance sheet with substantial cash reserves and no debt. That gives them a lot of flexibility and puts them in a strong position to weather any economic storms.
That's reassuring to hear, especially in today's uncertain economic climate. But how much of their revenue is actually profit? Are they just burning through cash to fuel their growth?
Not at all. Palantir has been consistently improving its profitability. Their operating margins have been expanding, which is a good sign that they're becoming more efficient and turning revenue into actual profit.
Okay, so they're not just a growth story, they're actually making money. That makes them even more appealing as a long-term investment.
Absolutely, and they're diversifying their revenue streams with contributions from both government and commercial clients. That reduces their dependence on any single sector and provides another layer of stability to their business.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. That's always a good sign. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Palantir has been criticized for its high valuations. Some say it's simply overvalued and due for a major correction. How do you respond to that?
It's true that Palantir is not a cheap stock, but I believe their valuation is justified by their growth potential, their unique business model, and their near monopoly position in a rapidly growing market. Their forward price-to-earnings ratio might seem high compared to traditional tech companies, but remember, they're operating in a different league. They're solving problems that no one else can, and that commands a premium.
So you're saying that their valuation is high, but it's not necessarily inflated.
Exactly. It reflects the market's confidence in their ability to continue to grow and disrupt industries in the years to come. Now, it's important to acknowledge that investing in any company, especially one as innovative and disruptive as Palantir, comes with inherent risks. There's always the possibility that new competitors will emerge or that unforeseen events could disrupt their growth trajectory.
So it's not a guaranteed win. There's always a chance things could go wrong.
Investing is never a sure thing, but with Palantir, I believe the potential rewards outweigh the risks. They have a strong track record, a visionary leadership team, and a clear strategy for the future.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential, the risks, and the financials. But what about the people behind Palantir? Who are they and what makes them tick?
Well, the team at Palantir is a fascinating mix of brilliant engineers, data scientists, and business leaders. They're driven by a mission to solve complex problems and make a real impact on the world.
It sounds like they're not just motivated by profit, but by a deeper sense of purpose.
Absolutely. They're tackling some of the biggest challenges facing humanity, from combating terrorism to accelerating drug discovery. Their work is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI and data analytics.
That's inspiring. It's easy to get caught up in the stock price and the financials. But it's important to remember that there are real people with real passions behind this company. But let's get real for a second. There's got to be a reason some people are hesitant to invest in Palantir. What are some of the common criticisms you hear?
One common criticism is that Palantir's technology can be used for surveillance and control. Their work with government agencies in particular has raised concerns about privacy and the potential for misuse of their powerful tools.
That's a valid concern. It's a lot of power in the hands of a single company.
It's definitely something to think about. Palantir has addressed these concerns by emphasizing their commitment to ethical data use and implementing safeguards to prevent misuse of their technology.
So they're aware of the ethical implications and are taking steps to mitigate the risks.
Yes, but it's an ongoing conversation, and it's something that we as a society need to continue to discuss and debate.
I agree. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. Okay, so we've talked about the good, the bad, and the ethically complex. Let's shift gears and talk about the future. What are some of the key trends that you think will shape Palantir's growth in the coming years?
Well, one major trend is the increasing adoption of artificial intelligence across industries. As businesses become more data-driven, the demand for Palantir solutions is only going to grow.
That makes sense. It's like they're perfectly positioned to ride this wave of AI adoption.
Exactly. Another trend that I think to play a significant role is the growing importance of cybersecurity. As cyber attacks become more sophisticated, companies and governments are going to need advanced tools to detect and respond to threats. And guess who's got those tools?
Palantir, it sounds like they're becoming the go-to solution for anyone who wants to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to data analytics and AI.
That's a pretty accurate assessment. Now, it's important to remember that investing in any company, especially one as innovative and disruptive as Palantir, comes with inherent risks. There's always the possibility that new competitors will emerge or that the regulatory landscape will shift in a way that's unfavorable to their business model.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No investment is. But I believe that Palantir's unique combination of cutting-edge technology, a strong leadership team, and a growing market opportunity makes them a compelling bet for long-term investors who are willing to ride out the inevitable bumps in the road.
Deep divers. We've explored Palantir from every angle: the potential, the risks, the financials, the team, the ethical considerations, and the future trends. Now it's time to bring it all together and answer the million-dollar question: is Palantir a good investment?
That's the question everyone wants answered, isn't it? And like with any investment, there's no simple yes or no. It all boils down to your individual circumstances and your appetite for risk.
So we're not giving any financial advice here.
Definitely not. But what we can do is equip you with the information you need to make an informed decision.
Okay, fair enough. So let's break it down. What are the key takeaways for someone who's considering adding Palantir to their portfolio?
Well, if you're looking for a quick flip or a get-rich-quick scheme, Palantir is probably not the right fit. But if you're a long-term investor with a strong stomach for volatility and you can need in the transformative power of AI and data analytics, then Palantir could be a game changer for your portfolio.
It sounds like Palantir is a high-risk, high-reward kind of investment.
That's a good way to put it. Their stock is likely to continue to be volatile, but their long-term growth potential is undeniable.
So we've gone deep on Palantir, from their roller coaster stock to their ambitious goals of tackling global challenges.
It's been quite a ride.
You've given us a lot to think about. But before we wrap up, I'm curious about one more thing.
Okay.
We've talked about how Palantir helps companies like Airbus optimize their operations.
Right.
But what about the average person? Does any of this actually impact my daily life?
That's a great question, and it highlights how Palantir's work often flies under the radar. While they might not be a household name like Apple or Google, their technology quietly touches our lives in countless ways. Think about the last time you traveled by plane.
Okay.
Chances are Palantir's software played a role in ensuring your flight was safe and efficient, from optimizing maintenance schedules to, streamlining baggage handling.
So even though I don't directly use their products, I'm still benefiting from their work behind the scenes.
Exactly. Their technology is also used in healthcare to accelerate drug discovery and finance to combat fraud, and even in disaster relief to coordinate emergency response efforts. It's all interconnected, and Palantir is playing a key role in making those systems smarter and more effective.
It's amazing to think how much impact one company can have. But let's be real. Not everyone's a fan of Palantir. They've faced some pretty strong criticism over the years. Is it all just noise, or are there legitimate concerns about their influence?
You're right, they're not without their critics. Some argue that their focus on government contracts makes them too cozy with powerful institutions and that their technology could be used for mass surveillance.
Right.
It's a valid debate, and it's important to consider these ethical implications alongside their potential benefits.
So it's not a black and white situation. It's about recognizing the potential good against the potential risks.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the power of their technology and advocating for its responsible use. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. We've focused on Palantir as an investment opportunity, but they're more than just a stock ticker. They represent a new breed of company, one that's blurring the lines between technology, government, and society.
So investing in Palantir is about more than just potential financial gains. It's about taking a stance on the future of AI and its role in shaping our world.
Precisely. It's about deciding what kind of future you want to be a part of.
Well said. Deep divers, I think we've officially reached the bottom of this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from Palantir's volatile trump to their mission of tackling some of the world's toughest challenges. We've explored the potential rewards and the inherent risks, the technological marvels and the ethical dilemmas. Now, armed with this knowledge, it's your turn to decide what you make of Palantir. Is it a force for good, a harbinger of a dystopian future, or something in between? We've given you the information. Now it's up to you to form your own conclusions. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.